Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the City of Neenah Common Council meeting for Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. We will start with the roll call. Please indicate your presence on your roll call device, and the clerk will call the roll.
Alderperson Boyette is absent. Alderperson Erickson?
Here.
Stevenson?
Here.
Hillstrom?
Here.
Lendrum?
Here.
Steiner?
Here.
Skirms?
Here.
Weber?
Here.
And Borchard.
Here.
Thank you. Alderman Lendrum will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all.
The next item on the agenda, there are no introduction and confirmation of mayor's appointments this evening. The next item on the agenda is approval of council proceedings from June 21st. Is there any objection to unanimous consent of approval of those proceedings? Seeing no objection, those minutes are approved. The next item in the agenda is the public forum. During the public forum, this is the opportunity for anyone from the public to come forward if they would like to speak on any topic of concern to the council. You are allowed 5 minutes to speak, and please give your name and residential address when you come to speak. Is there anyone here who would like to speak during the public forum? Welcome.
Hello. My name is Sean Shaw. I live on South Park. I come here today to talk about prohibiting firearms and stuff of that nature on buildings and everything. Now, I don't know if all of you have heard about what had happened on Friday. Now, obviously, Wisconsin has an open carry law. I had been open carrying for a little bit, like going on walks and everything with my rifle. Now I went on a walk and had brought it to the library because the library was open carry at the time. And my intention for doing this is not to scare anybody or scare any children. What my accomplishment I'm hoping to accomplish by doing this is to get people used to the ability to know that not everyone that carries these rifles is going to use them for bad intentions. There are people, law-abiding citizens, that would like to open carry them or have the opportunity to, that lawfully will do so. And I'm not saying to not take caution upon doing it if you were to approach someone that does carry one. Do take your precautions, but not everyone is bad, so you see someone go on ahead and wave, but, take your precautions while doing so. You never know. Maybe the person that's carrying it, like myself, I have people that know me and know I won't do anything. So people like me have been said to be approachable. So I'm hoping that, having said that, I'm hoping to get a good, positive look and encourage people to go on ahead and try not to fear everyone that carries those, and to get to try and know people as much as possible, and then decide if you can trust the person that carries them or if you can't. That's about all I got to say. Thank you for your time, and I hope everyone had a good 4th of July.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public forum? Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Sundstrom. I'm the Director of Public Relations and Government Affairs for the Realtors Association of Northeast Wisconsin. Our work address is W6124 Aerotech Drive in Appleton. I'm here to speak tonight on the proposed changes to Section 2627 of the City Code regarding the rezoning protest petitions. The memo provided you by staff was very thorough, but I would just like to add a few more additional thoughts. As stated in the memo, legislation AB 266 and SB 296 was recently passed by the legislature and signed by the governor. To be more specific, it was passed unanimously by the Assembly and passed with only one note in the State Senate. That legislation included an effective date of January 1st, 2025 for communities to remove this provision from their ordinances. The intent behind that effective date was to give small communities, such as rural townships, who have limited capacity and staff, adequate time to revise their ordinances in compliance with the new state law. However, that does not mean that communities should wait that long to make this needed change. In fact, as the city of Neenah has this issue up for consideration now, I would urge you to give full weight to the staff recommendation and make this change. And at a very minimum, forward this issue to the Plan Commission to allow for a full and comprehensive conversation on this proposed change. Our association understands and supports the desire of the community to protect the opportunity for public input regarding what happens around them. However, there are some important points related to the format of that public input that I would like to raise. Wisconsin's comprehensive planning law has very specific requirements for public participation. It was designed to provide citizens ample opportunity to provide input and be part of the process that lays out not only the vision for the larger community, but for the land that surrounds their property. Future land use maps provide a detailed picture that guides future land use decisions. And this is the most appropriate time for citizens to voice their desires or concerns regarding growth in their community as part of a larger conversation of what is best for the future of the community, and to get away from constantly reacting to things on a case-by-case basis. Additionally, the housing element of the comprehensive plan was designed to have communities go through a process of identifying current and projected housing needs and identifying the amount and location of land to accommodate those housing needs. But despite these planning tools and protections, we have found ourselves in the middle of a very serious housing crisis, the extent of which and who it is impacting is largely misunderstood. A housing crisis that actually started 10 years ago and has been escalating. A housing crisis that will take us many years to dig out of, making every single day and every decision that impacts housing critically important. One of the most important changes that is needed to start in creating the amount of new housing that we need and at the price points that working families can afford is creating more certainty and predictability in the development and approval process. NIMBYism, or not in my backyard campaigns, can have a very negative impact on that process by limiting the supply of new housing and increasing its costs. That is never more true than when a protest petition generates opposition to projects based on fear and misinformation. While a developer's project can be killed by such efforts, the people who are truly impacted are the citizens who needed those homes. Many times homes that fill the gap we call the missing middle. homes that are affordable to our working and middle-income individuals and families, teachers, police officers, and those filling manufacturing jobs. Pressure against these housing projects also impacts our local businesses, who are all competing across the country for a finite group of employees. This is a fight our businesses are losing because there is nowhere for those employees to live right now. In summary, at no other point in the zoning process is there a requirement for a 3/4 majority vote. As outlined in the staff memo, removing this provision would not prevent citizens from having the opportunity to voice opposition to rezone requests. However, removing this provision from the city ordinances now would allow each council person's vote to be weighed equally in these important decisions. It allows the majority of the council to represent the silent majority of citizens that are not in the room. And it would allow the majority of the council to do what they believe is in the best interests of the larger community without being held hostage by a very small vocal minority. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public forum? Being no one, I will close the public forum portion of tonight's meeting. Is there anyone who would like to make, on council, anyone who would like to make any statements or comments relative to the information that was presented during the public forum? Oh, sorry, Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. When Mr. Shaw was speaking, he mentioned there was an incident on Friday. I'm not aware of that. Can you?
So what happened Friday is that I was going for a walk and I was going to get a library card. And I walked down there with my AR-styled rifle, since it's open carry in Wisconsin and open carry in the library at the time. And I open carried it inside the library while I was getting a card, and then I walked home. Coming to find out, there were like 9 or so calls just from the library themselves, from customers saying that they won't come back, and employees saying they're going to quit. And that's what happened that day. Was I just walked there to get a library card, exercising my Second Amendment right to open carry my firearm, and I had no intention to scare people. And I do understand that with everything that goes on with the bad people, that I get why they're in fear of their kids and stuff. However, I'm hoping, like I said during my speech, that doing that enough in some way, shape, or form, not library, but open carrying that kind of thing in the open, will eventually have people thinking that not everyone with a firearm of that nature is a bad person.
I think that answered it. I believe Mr. Shaw he didn't mean just this last Friday, but
Okay, this wasn't just
couple
this
of
last
weeks
Friday?
ago.
No, ma'am. It was 3 or so Fridays ago.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Seeing no one else wishing to speak relative to the public forum, we'll go on to the consent agenda. Is there any objection to unanimous consent of the consent agenda? The only item on it is the temporary extension of licensed premise application for Copper Still Bourbon Bar for a charity fundraiser event to be held Friday, July 14th. Is there any objection to unanimous consent of passage of that item? Seeing none, that motion, or that passes by unanimous consent. The next item on the agenda is reports of standing committees, the Special Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of this evening, July 5th. Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. We met tonight, the Special Public Services and Safety Committee meeting, and just before council, and we discussed 2 items. Item number 1, consideration of committee recommendation regarding preliminary resolution 2023-14, installation of a 2-inch asphalt mat overlay for properties within the Freedom Acres subdivision, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Lundrum, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 8-0.
Item number 2, consideration of committee recommendation regarding preliminary resolution 2023-15, installation of a 2-inch asphalt mat overlay for properties within the Homes at Freedom Meadows subdivision, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Lundrum, seconded by Alderman Weber. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 8-0.
And the third and last item, consideration of committee recommendation regarding original transfer of regular Class B combination intoxicating liquor and fermented malt beverage license from Sherrytown Station LLC to Sherrytown 2 LLC, doing business as Sherrytown Station at 432 Sherry Street, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Lundrum, seconded by Alderman Steiner. Is there any discussion? Alderman Skirms.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question. I think when this came up a few weeks ago, there was some discussion of issues with same location but prior owners, or same owners, different location. Can someone illuminate for me? Or am I confused?
Was that the 2 broke girls?
Thank you.
Because they're in similar locations, so
right.
it's easy to get them confused.
All right, I withdraw my concern then. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device.
John, can you push your button again?
He's working on it.
There you go. That motion passes 8-0.
And that's the end of my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for your report. The regular Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of June 27th was canceled. The regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of June 26th was canceled. That leads us down to the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue Joint Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of June 27th. Council President Borchert.
Thank you, Mayor. Committee recommends council approve 2024 cost distribution formula, City of Neenah share at 60.34% of the City of Menasha at 39.88%.
There's a motion by Council President Borchert, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 8-0. Thank you for your report. The next item on the agenda was a regular Plan Commission meeting of June 27th. That was canceled. Next item is the Board of Public Works meeting of June 29th. Alderman Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor Lang. There are 5 informational items this evening and 1 council action item. First information item, and these can be found on the city website, the minutes. Board approved pay request number 3, contract 1-23, Donnie Parker Excavating for sanitary sewer, water main, and street construction on Burr Avenue, Chestnut Street, Ecoff Street, and Lone Boulevard in the amount of $311,103.54. Item B, the board approved pay request number 1, contract 2-23, David Tenner Corporation for sanitary and storm sewer, water main and street construction on Brantwood Drive, Brantwood Court, Charles Court, Hughes Court, Memorial Court, and Patrick Court in the amount of $244,989.80. Item C, Board approved pay request number 2, contract 2-23 to David Tenner Corporation for sanitary and storm sewer, water main and street construction on Brantwood Drive, Brantwood Court, Charles Court, Hughes Court, Memorial Court, and Patrick Court in the amount of $318,098.95. Item D, the board approved pay request number 3, contract 5-23 to MCC Incorporated for street, curb, and gutter, sidewalks and apron construction in Arthur Platte, Cardinal Platte, Integrity Acres, first addition to Integrity Acres and Liberty Heights in the amount of $539,829.58. Item E, the board approved pay request number 3, contract 6-23, Donald Hippus and Sons for sanitary and storm sewer, water main and street construction on Columbian Avenue, Blue Road in the amount of $67,275.15. One council action item for this evening is the board recommends council award contract 8-23, re-roofed office area at the city service building at 1495 Tower Road to JT Rams LLC, Saukville, Wisconsin, the amount of $61,060, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Hillstrom,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Lendrum, to recommend council award contract 8-23. Is there any discussion on this item? Alderman Skirms.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question. This was the low bid at 61. Someone else was over 100. We expected 80. At this price, do we get some kind of warranty with this roof?
Yes, there's a standard warranty with the roof replacement, with the rubber sheet replacement on the roof. So there is a warranty as part of the work.
Okay. For how many years?
This one, I believe, is a 10-year.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you. Yeah, roofs can be a unique animal in themselves. Jerry, do we have any history with JT Rams out of Saukville?
We do not. Oshkosh Industrial did the fire station. JMAR has done most of the patching and inspection of our roofs. We've had Borshi do some smaller roofing projects. So this is our first experience with JT Rams.
So, do we have references?
Yes, I did call a couple of projects that they had worked on, the building managers for those projects. And per them, they performed satisfactorily. They had no issues with the company.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 8-0.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you for your report. Next item on the agenda, is there any report from the Community Development Authority?
Just two things quickly. The one is we continue our working on the potential acquisition of the former Donaldson's property on West Cecil Street. We've had some conversations with DNR. We've had our survey teams doing some work there. Conversations with the city attorney Rashid on parking lease, so that I suspect some of that work to come forward through CDA here in the very near future. And just an FYI to the council, we are in the process of preparing an offer to purchase that obviously would come back through committee and council for the property at 1345 South Commercial. This is the former canvas repair shop for those that have been around just south of Bird Avenue. We've got the car wash on the corner of Bird and South Commercial, the property immediately south of that. So pretty dilapidated property, and so we're happy to see that move forward, and I'm hoping we're going to come to a conclusion on that soon. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you for your report. Alderman
Mayor?
Lendrum.
Good question.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Does that include the building behind the canvas place then, too? There's two buildings.
There's actually three. There's 3 white buildings there, so I'm not sure which one you mean behind it, but there's,
It used to be a barber shop years ago, and then it was a
all 3 of those buildings. Okay. Yes. That's right. There was a the canvas, I don't remember which one the canvas shop was in, but the barber shop was in there as well. You're correct. So
Okay.
all 3 of those buildings.
Thank you.
They're all of equal quality.
Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, so to Chris's comment about 3 buildings, has the council authorized expenditure? We haven't met and
No.
given you authorization to do this, so you're going to discuss with them an offer, I'm assuming under the guise that the property owner knows that it requires council approval.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that,
We
you're correct.
sometimes
And
get
I-
ourselves in trouble when we're out negotiating, and the people we're negotiating with assumes we have that authority.
No, in fact, it was in my email today that the offer, David's office drafted the offer, or will draft the offer, that it's conditioned on council approval, because clearly I don't have the authority to acquire a property on my own. So it merely an FYI tonight, and certainly council has the prerogative to decide whether to move forward or not.
Very good, thank you.
Next item on the agenda then, Alderman Landrum, Sustainable Neenah.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to preface this by saying if anybody is interested in joining the Sustainable Neenah Committee, we do meet on the last Wednesday of every month at 5:30. Interested, please either call me or Carol Casimore in Community Development. We were in discussion on what we are going to do at some of the farmers markets. And on July 22nd, we will be hosting a recycling discussion. So if we all, I think, get confused on what can be recycled and what can't. So please come and we'll get clarification on that. There'll be a recycling quiz. That'll be kind of fun to do. And on August 5th, we will have a solar demonstration. So if you are interested in doing anything like that, come to the farmers market on those dates. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. Bergstrom Mahler Museum, Council President Borchert.
Thank you, Mayor. Catching Fire online fundraiser was a great success. $155,563 was raised, and we were able to distribute that, a portion of that, $75,000, to the artists that helped raise that money. The Glass Arts Festival is August 12th. For that festival, we have 43 confirmed artists coming from all across the country. Some that were with us last year, and new artists as well. They received $8,900 in registration booth fees. They've raised between the artist fees, sponsorships, grants, totaling about $39,197 so far. So there, the museum participated in the 150th anniversary of the city of Neenah with the Art After Dark. Over 300 community members attending the June 22nd event. There was obviously local brands and brews with a partnership with the Historical Society for Classic Birthday Games. Mayor Lang sponsored the cake and provided the remarks for the cake cutting. Great evening. And then just mark your calendars for the Crystal Ball Gala event is February 10th of 2024. So mark your calendars. Be updated as that comes through.
Thank you for your report. Parks and Recreation Commission, Alderman Weber.
Thank you, Mayor. The Park and Rec Commission met on June 15th at Green Park. The minutes are posted on the city website. There was a few items in the mission action report that were discussed. Some kind of aged news, but one around the play that had been canceled due to a cast member's medical condition, and the fact that there were some expenses that were incurred. So the commission discussed that. Discussion about Arrowhead Pier being opened, and also about Baldwin Park and the progression with the new play equipment there. One key business item, the commission subcommittee of Commissioners Maggio, Andreski, and Hancock-Cook went through the commission bylaws, red line and proposed changes, and those were voted and approved by the commission. And we'd just like to thank that subcommittee for working on that project. And the next meeting is July 20th at Herb and Dolly Smith Park. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. Are there any petitions?
No petitions.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is council directives. Council Directive Number 2023-02 to recommend 2017 Wisconsin Act 243 and the City of Neenah Ordinance 26-27, Parent 7 be reviewed by the Community Development Director Hayes and City Attorney Rashid for their recommendation on the appropriate action, if any, by the end of next month. And I will turn that over to Director Hayes to review the memo that was sent out.
Thank you, Mayor. City Attorney Rashid and myself, along with Deputy Director Brad Schmidt, most of the work was done by Brad, so most of the credit goes to him, provided you with a memorandum summarizing the points relative to the protest petition. As you are all aware, there was recent legislation adopted by the legislature and ultimately signed into law by the governor, making a number of changes to the state statutes, one of which would remove protest petition language from, actually, the requirement for protest petition language was removed from the statutes in 2017. This most recent action essentially prohibits a community from having protest petition language. That particular piece of the legislation goes into effect in January of 25. So there's a little bit of time before that actually takes effect. In lieu of waiting for that time to get here, we've laid out the points, again, that are relative to the protest petition, and at this point are recommending that the directive be forwarded to the Plan Commission, in this case the Committee of Jurisdiction, to review and make a formal recommendation to Council. Happy to answer any questions.
I just want to clarify that it is not a prohibition against protest petitions themselves, but rather protest petitions that force a supermajority vote in order to make a change to a zoning ordinance.
Alderman Steiner.
Just to clarify the specific recommendation, it's to forward it to the Planning Commission to review it and decide whether or not to act based on the recommendation. Is that, I just want to make sure I'm clear on.
Yeah, this is a little unusual. Typically, the council would refer these things to the Committee of Jurisdiction. They would in turn make a recommendation back to this body for consideration. This one had a little bit of different conversation associated with it, so it's coming to the council first. And we were required or asked to provide a little more information than we typically would in a situation like this. The action tonight would refer it to commission. Commission, we would provide additional information, or at least this amount of information to the Plan Commission. They would decide whether they would make a recommendation of some type to council, either to modify the language, remove the language, or not make any changes at all. And then it would be up to this group to decide what they would do with that recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, I mean, to clarify all the person Steiner's question or comment, the reason it's coming to us under this format is because it's coming to us as a response to a council directive.
Alderman Stevenson.
Well, seeing no action in response to the directive, in my opinion, has been met. All the person Stearns asked that this issue be presented, or asks the Director of Community Development and the City Attorney to provide us with their recommendation, and that has been done. So my impression is that the directive has been satisfied.
Alderman Skirms.
I agree. We have the information that asked for, and at this point, I'd recommend we forward this to Plan Commission for their opinion. I'd make that motion.
There's a motion by Alderman Skirms
Second?
and seconded by Alderman Steiner for the Plan Commission to review. Alderman Stevenson.
So I can't support the motion to do this for a number of reasons. One is the council actually delayed action on the directive because of anticipated action of the legislature and the governor. And that action has been taken. And the legislature has indicated, with all due respect to Jennifer Lundstrom, the legislature and the governor have taken action to make this effective January 1st, 2025. I looked at the X16 language, and there is no reference in there to the reason that the date of January 1st, 25 was chosen. I have seen some indications online that the likely reason that occurred was not so that small communities could have time, like a year and a half, to implement the change. It's a simple change to rescind the ordinance. It could be done in the meeting. Rather, I've seen indications that the reason the legislature did that was in case communities were in the middle of rezoning requests where this supermajority may be in place, and that a year and a half would allow communities to vet that through, those rezoning issues through, so that there's no perception that communities are attempting to take advantage of this new legislation for a particular reason. And given our current circumstances in rezoning requests here in the city, I would be very careful about proactively accelerating the effective date, given the possibility and probability that we're going to be presented with a rezoning classification at some point. So that is, and we all have to stand behind the actions that we take. The action will occur January of 25. For us to accelerate that, given our history in the last year, I think would be a big mistake. I won't support sending it back to have it reviewed.
Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually do support sending this on to Plan Commission because it shows that we as a council want all the information that we can get and that we are open to all discussion. Since I've started as alderman in 2011, I have no memory of any of us voting against more information. And that's what this is. This is all this is getting more information. And I would like to clarify with the city attorney, we do not have to wait until 2025. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. To me, this is a very antiquated and unfair method of voting, and it is not equitable, and it is absolutely not fair. So I look forward to further discussion. I am still open-minded, and I'm really looking forward to the Plan Commission discussion. Thank you.
Alderman Steiner.
Yeah, I'm also in favor of moving this towards the Planning Commission to gather more information and have this under consideration. I think it's an important topic to discuss, and in light of the bipartisan legislation that was passed, I mean, bipartisan is pretty rare nowadays, that I think it's an important thing for us to consider. And given that there's no restrictions on us potentially changing it before January 1st. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't discuss it.
Alderman Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, this change was made back in 2017, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Since then, cities of all over the state have made this change. I mean, going back 6 years and more, correct?
Yes.
If we'd have done this 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, we wouldn't even be discussing this. It's just because of the Shattuck Middle School issue now that we're discussing it, which has nothing really to do with this being an unfair and discriminatory rule that the state got rid of 6 years ago. So I'm definitely in favor of moving this forward.
Is there any further discussion? I am also supportive of moving this forward to the Plan Commission for the reason of gathering more information and making ourselves fully informed on this topic rather than just dismissing it at this point. Though I typically do not get to vote. Is there any further discussion? So the motion is to recommend this be discussed at the Plan Commission and reviewed by them. So please cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 7-1. Is there any unfinished business? Is there any new business or any announcements? Either Alderman Hillstrom or I will give a short congratulations and thank you to everyone who participated in helping, volunteering. Alderman Hillstrom was there at the crack of dawn, volunteering all day for Community Fest. We also had Alderman Stevenson volunteering as well, did an excellent job as, Ben Franklin, not Alderman Stevenson.
It was a warm day.
It was a warm day in costume. Alderman Erickson was running the Arts Council booth. I know many of you were there, and I just appreciate everybody pulling together and supporting the community and just creating a wonderful event and great memories for all of those who attended. So thank you for that. And we also had just fantastic fireworks to celebrate our 150th birthday of the city of Neenah, along with the birthday of our country. So that was extra special for all of us. Alderman Skirms.
Thank you, Mayor. The parade was fun. If you missed it, be sure and be there next year. Had multiple people today wanted to know who put on that fireworks show. That was awesome. That's the best I've ever seen. I've been coming to the Neenah one since I was a little kid, but this was topped them all. So congratulations there. Also, my wife and I ran into Superintendent Fink the day before and sought him out to tell him how good the parks look. I mean, they work really hard. So congratulations and thank you to superintendent and staff for getting the parks to look so fine.
Absolutely. Thank you to the park department for all the work they did and the super long hours. We had such a great turnout, I agree, for the parade. And next year, we definitely have to buy even more candy because we ran out again. Alderman Lendrum.
Can I just shout out to Dairy Queen for my favorite free ice cream cupcake, which was heavenly. And that line was so long, and everyone wanted one, and I was so appreciative. I just can't believe the effort, superhuman effort that they took, and expense to give everyone a free cupcake to celebrate sesquicentennial. So thank you to them.
Alderman Hillstrom.
Thank you for properly saying that. I won't even attempt. But I know the Dairy Queen, and I talked to them, and they had two ladies work a week and a half to make those cupcakes that they gave away. So, I mean, that's amazing. They go through that effort and cost to help us out on Community Fest to make it the special event it is. So, yeah, volunteers. I mean, we were short on volunteers this year, and we're looking for anybody, any group, anybody who wants to get involved in the future. Anybody have any suggestions to get them involved and make it go a little easier next year? Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything to add? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? There's a motion by Council President Borchert, seconded by Alderman Weber to adjourn. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.